Welcome, everybody, to our Packers live pregame show. I'm your host, Andy Herman. You can follow me on Twitter at Andy Herman NFL. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. We've got an epic game coming up. Packers-Eagles Monday Night Football should be absolutely amazing. Appreciate the 65 of you who are already immediately in the chat. I'm so sure we're going to get a lot more than that as time goes on, but appreciate you guys being here right away. We've got a lot of questions to get to. I do need to get to the game at some point, so I'll probably be here for about 45 minutes to an hour. So, we'll try to get to as many questions as we can. I do want to mention we are sponsored today by Alchemy Wealth Management. Make sure to check out that free offer from retirewithryan.net and Ryan Nelson. You get a free retirement consultation with Ryan. No strings attached. It's super easy to do. Just go to retirewithryan.net, set up a time. The calendar's there. Click it, schedule it, and you're set to go, and you can start getting your financial future on track. Again, Alchemy Wealth Management and retirewithryan.net. Appreciate Ryan a ton for sponsoring today's show. Let's jump in right away. Before we get to all of your amazing and wonderful questions, we did get the call-ups for today's game. Big one for Philadelphia is they did, in fact, activate Nolan Smith, their edge rusher. Now, if you remember, Nolan Smith gave the Packers a lot of problems last year in the playoff game. Will he be a little bit rusty? We don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Zach Tom hopefully being active for this game could certainly help a lot. I would assume he will be. We don't have any indication that he won't, other than that he's questionable for the game. But it is worth noting that Nolan Smith is back and active for Philadelphia. For Green Bay, twofold. One, there's only one call-up. That is Christian Welch. He will be that kind of core special teams ace, even though they did not, keep him on the 53-man roster. He is still going to take that spot. This is his first practice squad elevation. He will have two more after this week, and then they'll have to make a determination if they want to put him on the actual 53-man roster. After that, maybe by that time, they only have one kicker on the roster, and that makes it a little bit easier. But for now, he is a practice squad elevation. The bigger news is that Green Bay did not elevate any wide receivers at all. And what that means is, in all likelihood, at least two of the Packers' three wide receivers should be healthy. All right, how do we get to that wide receiver / roster math? Well, we know they have Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, Malik Heath, and kind of Bo Melton as their true healthy wide receivers. So that would be four at best, even if we're including Bo Melton in that group. They would for sure need one more to be active. So out of Wicks and Williams and Golden, I can pretty much guarantee you 100% that at least one of those is going to be active. I also don't think they're only going into this with five wide receivers, knowing that one of them is Christian Watson just coming back from injury. One of them is Bo Melton, who's been basically a corner and is the top corner backing up this week because Nate Hobbs is out. And whatever other wide receiver that you have, whether it be Wicks or Williams or Golden, is likely banged up and not 100% and is probably on a snap count as well. So that's why I'm fairly certain that with no wide receiver call-ups whatsoever, that at minimum, two of the three of Williams, Golden, and Wicks will be playing in this game. If I had to guess, my guess would be Williams and Wicks. Wicks practiced basically all week long. Williams practiced on Friday or Saturday it was because of the Monday night game. Golden did not. That would be my guess, but it is good news nonetheless that at least two of those three should be active for this game. All right, with that, let's get to all of your amazing and wonderful questions. We will start with Pokey. Tonight, will we be the 2 or the 7 seed? Find out next on Dragon Ball Z. I don't think it's Dragon Ball Z, but it's going to be an epic matchup tonight. And yes, for those of you who don't know, if they win, they go to the 2 seed and are number 1 in the NFC North. If they lose, they're the 3 in the NFC North and the 7 seed overall, only a half game ahead of the San Francisco 49ers for that final playoff spot. So things are going to tighten up very, very fast. Hope the Packers throw me like the Badgers did was good for the soul. Dennis, I love that Badgers win. Thrilling might not be the exact way to define that one. I love that they surprised us. Thrilling, I'm not sure I can go quite as far, but it was a fun game. They did finally get a win, and I will give them that. So we'll give the Badgers anything at this point in time because it's been a struggle for them all year long. LA Knight, yeah, enthusiast. How involved do you expect Musgrave to be? I'm hoping he gets schemed up a few touches downfield. I expect him to be very active in this game. Now, whether that means a lot of touches, that remains to be seen. Here's the thing with Luke. You're not putting him on the field to be a blocker. I don't really think you're putting him on the field to be a decoy. he is fast, he is big, but if I had to guess, Vic Fangio wasn't spending last night being like, oh my God, we're going to have to account for Luke Musgrave somehow. I don't think that teams are, putting all their defenders on Luke Musgrave to stop him. Right. So if he's not out there to be a blocker and he's not out there to be a decoy, he's kind of got to be a pass catcher, right? Like you have to get him involved in the passing game. Now, whether that's through schemed up touches or just within the scheme of the offense, that remains to be seen. I don't expect him to have 5 for 120 or anything like that. But I do expect him to have, 3 or 4 catches or at least opportunities in this game. And what I really want to see from Luke is I would love to see something up the seam. I would love to see them challenge that a little bit and see if you can hit him on something. I would love to see him being utilized in the red zone a little bit more where you're really going to need him. But the big thing is here for Luke, it's time to step up. The time is now. You've got to be ready to go. This is his, kind of big audition to the rest of the NFL. I know he's not in a contract year. Green Bay has him under contract next year as well. But this time where Tucker Kraft is out is his ability to show, hey, I'm a number 1 tight end in this league. So time to step up for Luke Musgrave. I think he's going to be involved in this game and probably more from a receiving standpoint than just about anything else. I know Hobbs is hurt, but if he continues to play poorly, would the Packers be willing to bite the bullet and cut him? Or do you see them holding on for at least another year? My guess is that he's going to be on the team for at least one more year. It's a little bit more complicated than that. We'll have to kind of go through a full episode. Knowing Green Bay's history and how they attack these things, Green Bay, while they like to structure their contracts to be able to get out of them after a year, it's not ideal, certainly. And as long as it's not catastrophically bad, they tend to bring the player back. Even like Jimmy Graham, after his second season, which was abysmal, I think they still brought him back for a third, or maybe it was after his first, they brought him back for a second. I forget which one it was, but it was really bad the year before, and they still brought him back and had the opportunity to get out of it. They tend to continue to go on with the player. I think for both Banks and Hobbs, the more likely exit point is after year 2. But if Hobbs does come back this season and just looks really bad, then they're going to have a real discussion, because it's still a contract that you will have to pay him additional money to in a significant amount to keep him on the team. And if that's not the best use of resources, then, it sucks to cut him and take the cap hit and really have overpaid him at that point. It's still better than the alternative to continue to overpay him for a contract that just didn't end up working out. So my guess is he's back on the team, but when he comes back, that's going to be an important stretch of games for him and how he plays the remainder of this year. Also, Devontae Adams already being 8th all time in receiving touchdowns is making me feel incredibly old. Yeah, it's crazy how that stuff happens so quick, but well-deserved for him. One of my favorite players to watch of all time, and certainly killing it right now still with the Rams. All right, Celestial Prophet, member for 15 months. I hope we win so bad. Thanks for all you do, Andy. I appreciate you a ton, and I really want this one as well. We need some positivity, some good juju, some momentum going in Green Bay's favor. So hopefully Green Bay can pick up the win. As of right now, I was going to look to see if there was a line change on this one or not. Oh, wow. A major line change. Philly now 1.5 point favorites in this game. That is a 3-point swing? Wow. Hold on one second. I got to get this out on the Twitterverse as well. All right. I did not see that. Well, I shouldn't say that. I kind of was expecting Philly to be favorites in this game, but just as up to like an hour ago, it was Packers by 1.5. It is now Philly by 1.5. So a 3-point swing in favor of Philly. That is a pretty crazy late minute swing. Jay, excuse me, says 34-24 Packers. Jay, I hope you are more than right. Probably will use Golden on passing downs only. I'm interested to see if Golden is active first and foremost. I still think there's a decent chance that Golden is not active, but they could certainly use him. And if he is, I would gladly take it. So we'll have to kind of wait and see if he's active for this game or not. We should know 7:15. So 5:45. So a little bit after I'm done here, we'll know who's active and who's not. This is a big game, but what is bigger? The first game against the Lions. I mean, the division game is always is always bigger. So the both Lions games are bigger than this one, but this is, all things considered, and Green Bay being a little bit lackadaisical as of late and losing to the Panthers the last week. This probably feels a little bit bigger. If they would have lost in week 1, you probably would have said, week 1 doesn't mean a whole lot. And, weird things happen, and you still have another game with Detroit coming up. But in general, I would say the Detroit game matters more. So both of them very important, but Detroit definitely matters a little bit more with it being in the division. If you don't win the division, you got 3 road games in all likelihood in the playoffs. And that just is really, really tough. And you got to win. You got to make it to the playoffs as well. So both games very important, but I'll go Detroit game being a little bit more important. All right. Where do we leave off here? I think it was LA Knights. Yeah, the whole YouTube ESPN thing is absolutely brutal. Chris, I hope you can find a way to watch. I don't know if ESPN's got a free demo. I'm sure they don't. But yeah, hopefully you can find a way to watch the game, get to a bar, or do something. Yeah, it's a very stupid and pathetic thing. Just unfortunately, greedy people wanting more money, and that's all it comes down to. There's no hero. There's just bad guys in this, unfortunately, and hopefully they can get it done sooner rather than later, so this whole thing can end, very quickly here. Hope LaFleur's play call is better than the junk he's been putting out. Jose, I highly recommend checking out the episode that I did this week on Matt LaFleur's play calling. Certainly some stuff that wasn't good, but some stuff that was really good and some stuff that looked bad that wasn't quite as bad as it looked. So highly recommend checking that out. You have plenty of time between now and the game. It was Sunday's episode. It was called The Closer Look at Matt LaFleur's play calling. Steve, cheers to you as well. Chris, buy a day pass on Sling TV for $5. There you go. I don't know. I can't confirm whether or not that works. Certainly not an ad for Sling, but if that works, sounds like a good option, as Alex is pointing out too here. Josh, I would say it's 6 to 1, half a dozen to the other. I think there's a little bit of play calling issue. I think there's a lot of execution issue. Either way, that comes down to Matt, and either way, it needs to be a whole lot better for this particular game. Does A.J. Dillon still play for the Philadelphia Eagles? And sorry, what was the rest of the question here? I know we talk a lot about Jock coming back, but the mayor of Door County will be returning home. I think he's on injured reserve right now, if I remember correctly. He's still on the team for sure, but I think he's on injured reserve. Oh, he is still on the roster. All right, so he's on the roster, but Shipley, Bigsby, and Saquon have all been ahead of him. My guess is he's inactive for this game, but you never know. Sometimes teams like to give the former players a nod, so maybe Dillon will be, but I think the more likelihood is that Shipley, Bigsby, and Barkley are the 3 active running backs, and Dillon is probably inactive for this game. D Hugh 4, it's going great, man. Packers, Eagles, Monday Night Football. What more could you want? Still a little bit, not thrown off, but that's a big swing, 3-point swing back in the Eagles' favor right before the game. Go Pack, go. You the man, Andy. Appreciate you, Carl. With no receivers being called up, does that mean Golden and Wicks are both up? Which one starts in the slot? Yeah, again, I think it means 2 of the 3 of Golden, Wicks, and Williams. And Golden was the most banged up this week. Hopefully Golden can go. But if I had to guess, if one of them's not able to go, my guess would be Golden. But it's all just, hypothetical at this point. We're going to find out here in almost an hour exactly. Carrington Valentine revenge game. You heard it here first. Landon, I love it. He did get dribbled by, Dallas Goedert off the Philadelphia turf last year. So hopefully he can come up with a big pick in this game. Victory or Cope pizza tonight? I'm hoping for a victory pizza tonight, Carl. That's what I'm hoping for. Will probably be tomorrow, if I'm being honest, one way or the other, because it's going to be a very, very late night. I'm hoping to get a little bit of sleep tonight, but we'll be at the game, press conference after the game. We'll rush home as quickly as possible, do a quick live post game, probably only going to be about 30 or 45 minutes, maybe longer if it's a win, maybe shorter if it's a loss. Then I'm going to rewatch the game. Get Camille. I'm assuming Camille will do a video after today's game. Get that uploaded. Get the audio and video uploaded after the game. Is the audio podcast uploaded after the game? Then I'll be recording a podcast. Get that edited, that uploaded, and then after that, try to get a little bit of sleep before doing a radio hit at 8:20 in the morning, and then starting everything tomorrow with grading the tape and everything like that. So going to be a long night. Thankfully, got a little bit of extra rest today, but it's going to be a long one. Hopefully capped off with a Luigi's breakfast pizza tomorrow morning. All Sport Rips, go Pack, go. Appreciate you being here, my friend. Hopefully Chris is wrong and that it's not going to be a rough game. We're going to have to wait and see. Let's go Packers. Packers social media posted Golden's game jersey a bit ago. So, that very well could be a good sign, LA Knights. That would be fantastic. And usually that is a tell, but we'll have to wait and see. But hopefully that's a very good sign for him. All right, I think we got some more super chats here. This is a big game. Oh, we talked about that. Sorry. Dylan, thoughts on utilizing Jacobs in the short passing game to make up for some of the yak that's missing with Kraft out? Yeah, I think it's all hands on deck, and I think Josh Jacobs is going to have to be a big piece of that. It just depends on how you want to view this, right? how are you getting Jacobs the ball? Is it screen passes? People don't seem to like those a whole heck of a lot right now. I think you're going to have to hit him on some checkdowns. He's not exactly like when you say like intermediate passing game or short passing game, Jacobs is a great running back in checkdowns and in some of those scenarios. He's not necessarily the back that you motion out and have run like a slant or something like that. That's not where he's going to win. So it's going to have to probably be a little bit on checkdowns, maybe some running back screens, but you're going to want the ball in Jacobs' hands, and he's going to have to do some heavy lifting from now until the remainder of the or till the end of the season, because he's really that weapon on offense that you still have at your disposal and can do a lot of the run after contact that is missing with Tucker Kraft out in this game and for the remainder of the year. Robert, thank you for the super chat. How do you think LaFleur will use motion and misdirection to neutralize the Eagles' aggressive front, especially with all those simulated pressures? Yeah, to me, this is going to come down to, getting Jordan up to the line with a lot of play clock so that he can kind of read the defense a little bit. I'm sure he's going to use motion to try to get some tells, but I'm sure Philly, especially with an extra week to prepare for this game, is going to have some exotic looks and is going to disguise things incredibly well. Sometimes you need to change things up as well. That means sometimes you need to go tempo. So if they're going to simulate stuff, if you are constantly getting to the line and reading everything, they're not going to show you right away what they're going to do. They're going to wait until you make your checks and do everything, and then they're going to show you at the very end, and that may not be time to actually adjust. So sometimes you need to get up the line and just run the play so that they may be caught faking a pressure, and then they're in no man's land because then they have to get back and maybe you can take advantage. So I think tempo and pacing is going to be very important, and just switching it up where sometimes you're going quick, you're getting to the line, immediately calling the play, so they're caught off guard. And other times you're going to want to then, pretend you're going quick, get up to the line. Maybe they can get a tell, and then you're dummying, or maybe you're, using motion to get a tell, or maybe you're checking out of a play to try to get yourself a better look. I just think this is going to be quite the cat and mouse, and I'm sure Philly's going to be ready for it. And hopefully Green Bay is going to be ready for it as well. How do I keep my doom and gloom Packers friends from just thinking I'm just a Homer fan that only sees the upsides? Adam, I don't think you need to. I think every fan gets to sort of fan the way that they want. And some people enjoy the misery and some enjoy the optimism. To me personally, I think this has been the most, and I know it's just a loud portion at some points. And I know that sometimes it's, there's a lot of expectations that came with the season. I think this is some of the most frustrating fandom that I've seen from Packers fans, where, listen, we enjoy this journey. No matter how it looks right now or what's happened so far, we don't know what's going to happen next. They might lose to Philly by 40 today and still win the Super Bowl at the end of the year. Like, you don't know when that thing is going to click, or when things come together, or when you find that evolution of your offense or your defense, or when things get, click into place, or you start getting turnovers, or whatever that thing might be. You just don't know when it's going to happen. Green Bay didn't win right away when they signed Reggie White. They didn't win right away when they signed Charles Woodson, meaning the Super Bowl. Just because they got Micah Parsons, I know all of a sudden the expectation is now Super Bowl. That doesn't just make you a Super Bowl team. There's a lot that still needs to go into that. And quite frankly, that portion of it hasn't looked good enough yet. So Green Bay needs to play better. There's no question about that. This team, as is, playing the way that they have been playing, is not a true legitimate Super Bowl contender. But here on November 10th is not Green Bay in its final form. I mean, we saw a team in 2023 that looked like pretty hot garbage at this point in 2023, and certainly looked nothing like they were going to win games against the Chargers and the Chiefs and the Lions going into that 3-game win streak. And then even then, you didn't think they were going to lose a game to Tommy DeVito and the Giants. I think that was the same season, if I remember correctly. And then it didn't look like they were certainly going to be able to go into Dallas and nuke Dallas, and then should have beat San Francisco the week after. You just don't know how this thing is going to ebb and flow. And I always try to say, whether you are super optimistic right now, and maybe Green Bay beats Philly by 20, and you're going to be feeling on top of the mountain and that Green Bay is back Super Bowl bound, guess what? They are going to have more hiccups the rest of the season, even if they beat Philly by 100 points today. And guess what? Even if they lose to Philly by 100 points today, there are going to be moments the rest of the season that they look like a true competitor, and you're going to get super jacked up and excited about it all over again, and you're going to believe that this team can contend come playoff time. there's going to be that ebb and flow, the ups and downs. Enjoy the journey. This is an awesome game. This is an awesome NFL game that's taking place at Lambeau Field on Monday Night Football against a team that eliminated Green Bay from the playoffs a year ago. That there's this tush-push sideline or side quest story on the side that the Eagles are pissed that the Packers proposed it. It is a game against two really fantastic football teams. And pretty soon, we're going to be talking about which players the Packers are losing in free agency and which third-round pick might work best in Green Bay and all of that stuff. And that's right around the corner. And right now we have actual football games. So whether you are on top of cloud nine, that this team is legitimate Super Bowl contenders and they're going to win it all, or whether you think everyone is needing to be nuked and fired into the sun and fired and everything, we get to enjoy a football game tonight. Enjoy the hell out of it. And let's see what happens. And no matter what happens tonight, there's another game next week against New York. And we only get so many of those. And what is it? 6-1 or 6-2-1, 5-2-1 right now. So 8 games. They got 9 games left for sure. Hopefully at least 10 by getting into the playoffs, but nothing's guaranteed. So enjoy the hell out of it. And hopefully tonight's a really fun and entertaining game and we get to see a Packers win, and we'll react accordingly depending on what happens today. Predicted a L on my podcast. The Packers are 3-0 so far this year when I pick against them. Massive thanks for the 3 live streams today, my friend. Ewing, I'm just going to need you to pick against them the remainder of the year, and we should be good to go. Problem solved. So thank you for your service on that, and thank you for being here, and thank you for the super chat, Ian. Alex gifting a Pack-A-Day membership. Thank you so much for that, Alex. And Beast, I agree. Packers fans have been upsetting me this year. Seems like nothing is ever enough. Whether win or lose, people are panicking and unwilling to be patient. Again, I'm not trying to, I guess I'm kind of trying to tell people how to fan. I just wish it was a little bit more patient at times. But again, I understand the impact of this team on a lot of people. I understand the expectations going into this year. And I understand everyone wants them to be a top tier team. And thus far, it's come a little bit short. But let's see how they do the remainder of the year. Again, including tonight, a very big game against Philly. And we all have the entire offseason to react to what season it was and who needs to go or who needs to come and everything like that, right? Especially when we know Green Bay is not going to be the knee-jerk reaction, rip the Band-Aid, fire anyone type anyway. Maybe not anyone. Maybe there's somebody that could lose their job, but it's not going to be the head coach. It's not going to be the offensive or defensive coordinator. I doubt it's going to be Bisaccia. Even if it's something, it's probably something pretty small, maybe a small reorg or something like that. But they're going to keep continuing on with this team. But listen, I think a good reminder too, it's not Packers fans that just put, unreasonable expectations on this season. The very first comments that Brian Gutekunst kind of made on his own, because he took a final question and spun it in his own way at the end of 2024 and or beginning of the 2025 offseason, however you want to look at it, was he said, it's time for urgency. It's time for this team to start winning championships again. So Brian set the bar, right? And that was before Micah Parsons, right? He set the bar right then and there that it is time for this organization to start winning championships again. It's interesting, by the way, I forgot that it's post-trade deadline and Goody didn't talk to the media this week. That's kind of interesting. I totally didn't put that together. So I don't know. Usually he does a mid-season press conference, but I don't know. We'll have to wait and see if we get a Goody press conference or not. But anyway, I digress. I understand the expectations. I understand why people are very passionate about the season. Certainly I am as well, but a lot of season left. Let's see how this thing kind of progresses or regresses or whatever we want to call it. Let's see. That was Beast Bumblebee. All right. So we got to all of our super chats. Let's get back here. Andy, how is this line run blocking effortlessly for those Malik Willis games and now seemingly forgot their fundamentals and footwork? Mostly the same line, same coaches. Sam's the weak link in Myers. Yeah, I think first of all, Tennessee and Indy's defensive lines last year were not very good. That played a huge part in it. I also think Green Bay had an unbelievable game plan and really went all out to get their line and everyone ready for that specific game plan with Jordan out, understanding how important those games were going to be in his absence. I think that's a piece of it. Again, the lack of, line play for the opponents in those games. But I don't know. I don't know a great answer to it either. It looked like everything was going to be set up really well. You had Rasheed Walker playing in a contract year. Like, again, so much on the line for him. You would expect him to go out and play his very best football. We haven't seen that so far from Rasheed Walker. They bring in Aaron Banks, huge free agent signing, even though I think it's fair to say it was always an overpay and it was probably unfair to ever expect like a top tier offensive lineman. The upgrade should have been pretty significant, going from Josh Myers as a starter to Aaron Banks as a starter. And Elton Jenkins playing at center, again, should have been a big upgrade from Josh Myers. Hasn't really been so far. You're hoping you have multiple options at right guard, right? You've got Sean Ryan. You've got, you've got Jordan Morgan, a former first round pick. Sean Ryan also in a contract year. And even guys like Jacob Monk or even Anthony Belton potentially could play there as well. Monk in his second year, we've seen big jumps from 5th round picks before on the offensive line, like Zach Tom. That has not happened for Jacob Monk. And then, Anthony Belton was a 2nd round pick this year, and he has not shown that he can, play yet on the offensive line. And then even Zach Tom, I think mostly due to injury, has been a little bit of a step down. So I don't know. I wish I had a better answer for you, but it has felt like it just hasn't gelled together the way that anybody expected it. And it's been, I think, the most disappointing aspect of the season so far. On the way to the game as we speak, let's go Pack. Enjoy the game. Hopefully you can pick us up a win. Spree for all. Let's see here. All right. Just hoping it's not a blowout. Chris, we got to have higher expectations than that, my friend. Bummed that a 5th defensive tackle wasn't called up. Steve, they have 5 defensive tackles, so they don't need to call up a 5th defensive tackle. They have 5. They've got Wyatt, they've got Brooks and Wooden and Brinson and Stackhouse. Now, my guess is only 4 of those are still going to be activated and that they'll deactivate one. If I had to guess here, again, about 45 minutes before those activations and deactivations take place, or deactivations, I should say. But they do have 5 available if they want to go with 5 in this game. We'll have to wait and see. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing need to know, Chris, is that if no other team has touched, and he was hurt too, which is mostly noteworthy, but if no other team has touched him, either the injury or the, some of the character stuff is too much, because he's a talented player. And if all 32 teams are like, nope, we're good, that tells you all you need to know. There was no kicking competition this week, Brandon. It was always Brandon McManus. So initially LaFleur said, he was asked if they were going to continue with Brandon as the kicker. He said that was the plan. Yes. The next day they came back, he came back and was asked about a competition between McManus and Haversick. And Matt gave his generic, well, everything's always a competition and they're both going to kick today. So we'll see how things go. That's Matt's way of saying, he already said yesterday, Brandon McManus is the kicker, but anytime there's multiple players on the roster, everything's always a competition. But he had already said the day before McManus was his kicker. Then Rich Bisaccia was asked about it, said, who's your kicker? He said, Brandon McManus. And then the next day, Matt LaFleur was asked about it and said, yeah, it's Brandon McManus. You guys took the competition thing out of context. Brandon's our kicker. So it was never a competition. Brandon's the kicker. We'll see if that works out for them or not. Just want to see Green Bay play a good game. Again, I don't think that is a fair expectation either. They need to win games. I am all for it. They need to win football games, especially after some disappointing ones so far. This is a game Green Bay needs to win. If they look good and ultimately lose a back and forth game to Philly, I'll be disappointed, but I won't be panicking. That's a fair context of like, hey, if they look really good and it just, ball doesn't bounce their way at the end or something, maybe there's a takeaway where there doesn't need to be full panic. But listen, this is a winnable game at home. You don't want to lose back-to-back home games. This is a game Green Bay needs to win. Andy, on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you in the Packers today? Flat out 5, my friend. Said it yesterday for today's show. My brain tells me Eagles. My gut tells me Packers. I'm going with my gut because I trust my gut more. But yeah, this is a true coin flip. I think it could go either way. I think the Philadelphia Eagles have 4 avenues to victory in this game, but I think Green Bay is going to come out fired up for this one. If they don't, it's over before it starts. But I think they will, and I think they're going to come ready to play. I just need competence and look like we belong in the higher tier of teams tonight. Again, I want to see a win. I do want to see a win in this one. Corey, thanks for being here. I will not go along with your Fly Eagles Fly, but I appreciate you checking out the show. Can't believe the Packers are favorites in this game. They're not. Changed. Eagles now 1.5-point favorites. If you're just joining us, it was a 3-point swing in the favor of the Eagles. Eagles were 1.5-point underdogs. Late money came in. Eagles now 1.5-point favorites in this game. What would you rather see? Packers finally establish the run or passing game is fluid and comes up clutch in big moments, showing we can adapt without Kraft. Either of those is probably a great sign. If you're telling me the passing game looks really good and is, huge in clutch situations, that probably bodes very well for Green Bay. If you're going to tell me that they established the run the entire game, that also probably bodes well for Green Bay. So I would take either of those. If you don't get either, that's where Green Bay is really going to be in trouble. I would probably take the running game. Want to preface this by saying that I may be a sick man. Do you think Jordan Morgan or Rashid would make a better fullback in a 7-0 line set? Let's get weird. Something's got to get the run game going. Yeah, I don't think that's probably the answer. Again, it doesn't matter who's at fullback if your guards and center and tackles are allowing immediate pressure, right? It's up to the 5 guys who are starting on the offensive line primarily to do their job, to do their 1/11th, and to block at a much better rate than they've been doing so far. That to me is ultimately the answer. Let's see. I don't like people grouping Banks and Hobbs together. Banks has been solid, still in overpay, but Hobbs looks like a horrible signing currently, and Banks looks okay. I tend to agree with that in general. Beast Bumblebee. Yeah, big line move. Big line move in order for in favor of Philly. So went from 1.5 Green Bay to 1.5 Philly. Hopefully all the announcers pick Philly pregame too. That's usually a good sign to go with the other one. Unfortunately, I think our Packers get beat fairly easily. Eagles win by 10-14. I can't see this team stepping up in a big spot. Also, too many injuries. I actually don't necessarily agree with the too many injuries thing. I think that this is a manageable amount of injuries, to be honest, for week 10 in an NFL season. You got to be able to navigate some of that stuff. Green Bay has good depth, but they're going to need to step up in a big way. And hopefully this is not Eagles winning easily. That'd be brutal. And a lot of questions are going to be asked if that's the case. Feels like the KC game in 23. We know how that ended. Hopefully you're right, Jen. I would love that. Now the Packers will win because they are underdogs. That would be fitting, Ben. It very much would be. Can you call Josh Jacobs and tell him I need 30 points on fantasy to win this week? I cannot, Drew, nor would I if I could, but I wish you the best of luck, and I would gladly take 30 points from Josh Jacobs in this game. Let's see. Jordan, thanks for being here. Go Pack Go. Freedom House says 27-24 Packers. Jay has no confidence in this game. I can understand that. I can understand that. It's a little bit tough to be confident right now. Hopeful, but I can understand. I can understand that aspect of it. Feels like McManus is just verbally saying he's fine to go because he doesn't want to lose his job, and they just keep taking his word for it. I'm not sure I necessarily agree with that. If I were McManus and I wasn't kicking well, I would probably rather have them shut me down for 4 weeks than consistently missing kicks. But I'm sure McManus wants to go out there and kick. Don't get me wrong. But they got to figure it out one way or the other. McManus needs to go out and have a big game and make his kicks this week. Chris likes the Pack 33-24. Jen needs cry, Eagles cry. All right. $10 antenna at Best Buy, free on ABC. I have heard people getting antennas as well and them working well. So I do think you can go pick that up. Now in Green Bay, they might be a little bit sparse at the moment because a lot of people may have needed to do that. But yes, I do think you can get an antenna as well and set that up and get ABC for free. Sling TV has ESPN one-day pass for $4.99. All right, there you go. Buffalo Wild Wings for Packers games. I think that works as well. Back on track if they pull it out, 100%. Yeah, again, I expect Dylan to probably be inactive for this game, but he is still on the team. This will be a good test for the mettle of this team. Totally agreed. Big time game for the Packers. Just hoping we can make a field goal today. Sick of special teams costing us games. Never trust special teams, Chris. Never trust it. Never ends well. Go Pack Go. DirecTV Stream has a free 5-day trial. All right, looks like that might be another option. Yes, Dylan looks to be the 4th string running back in Philly right now. Chris, the kicking game has me nervous. Special teams has me nervous every single week, so no change there. Yeah, I talked about this a little bit today, Sebastian. I don't know. First of all, if you guys watched football around the league this week, lots of bubble screens, lots of screen passes. It's very in vogue throughout the league. I care less about calling screen passes and more about executing screen passes. If you're going to call it, fine. Need you to pick up yardage. Certainly can't have negative yardage and a fumble on the play. So they need to execute those a lot better, and probably need to be a little bit less predictable with them. You also have to I talked about this today in the pregame show. What do you want the Packers to do? All right, because I've seen a lot of people say they're just going to keep running it up the middle with Josh Jacobs despite not getting any yards. Yeah, it's going to be tough to run up in the middle in this game. You've got Jalen Carter and you've got Jordan Davis. That's going to be a really difficult duo to run on inside. All right, so inside runs, very difficult. They've struggled with the stretch and toss run plays all year just because, and now they don't have Tucker Kraft. They got Luke Musgrave at one of those tight ends. You opened, after the interception last week, you go at the toss play to the outside, loses 3 yards, and you had a holding penalty on the play. I don't know that anyone's pining for a lot more outside run game. All right. So, but you've got to run the football. You can't call no inside runs and no outside runs. All right. So maybe you can use some run solutions or some quick passing game to get you into some advantageous looks. All right. Well, guess what? A lot of those are little screens to the outside or bubble screens or screen plays to your running back or tight end, but you don't like those either. Those didn't work last week. All right. So those are off the table. So you don't want to run inside. You don't want to run outside. You don't want to run the quick game. And I know certainly you guys don't like the end arounds and reverses. Those are not a fan. People aren't a fan of those either. All right. So now all short, all the behind the line of scrimmage passing game and the jet sweeps, end arounds, outside runs, and inside runs are now off the table. All right, well, do you want to take a bunch of deep shots down the field? Well, not against a defense that's playing too high safety the entire game. That's where Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love get a little bit too aggressive and are constantly throwing, deep balls against soft zone coverages. We don't necessarily want that either. All right. Well, Tucker Kraft's not out there, so you can't just get him the ball and let him, run after the catch. That's no longer an option. All right. So are you going to just utilize a lot of, intermediate passing game over the middle of the field? Maybe, but you've got safeties. You've got a lot of linebackers. Reed Blankenship picked off a pass to Luke Musgrave in the opening game. I think they had 3 interceptions against Green Bay. I think Zach Bond had one of those, if I remember correctly, in the playoff game. That's a lot of dangerous balls over the middle of the field, especially if you get predictable. And now their pass rush picks up because you're not running the football. It's all just to say, I know we don't like the screen passes. I know we don't like the just inside zone run plays and stuff like that. Something's got to work. You got to figure out something that can work, or you're just going to be banging your head against the wall all day and you're going to be frustrated. Every play call is going to be bad, right? So that's where I say, I know we're frustrated with some of the play calls, but you got to execute something. You got to execute something or it's going to be a very long day for you. So to me, you're going to have to run some bubble screens in this game. You better block for them. And you're going to have to run inside sometimes in this game. You better block for them. That's where I say a lot of this comes down to execution. It's not just play calling, even if some of the play calls in some key situations hasn't been great either. I'm not scared. You're scared. Take the points. It's going to be an interesting one for Matt on how he kind of manages the point production in this game. Do you want to take field goals? Do you want to go for touchdowns? It's going to be very interesting. Can't beat Cleveland or Carolina tonight. Green Bay will probably win. Probably, Chris. Probably. Based on recent results and opponent, it really feels like the first quarter is critical. Can't start slow and fall behind this team. Start fast, force the Eagles to pass rush after Hurts. Yeah, I totally agree with that, Douglas. And I just think you need to get the crowd going in this game as well. I think this crowd's going to be ready to pounce one way or the other. If Green Bay starts great against Philly, they're going to be ready to pounce all over Philly, and that crowd's going to be excited and jacked up. It's Monday Night Football. Everyone's going to want to be on their feet, screaming and yelling. And I think you'll see that if Green Bay gives them something to cheer for early in this game. If Philly goes out and Green Bay struggles early in this game and Philly's up, 14 or nothing or something like that, I think that crowd's going to be ready to turn. There's going to be a lot of very anxious and frustrated Packers fans in that stadium, and that's not where you want it to be. I think the open of this game is very, very important. How many tush pushes? I don't care, but I'll say under 4 tush pushes in this game. No updates on Asante Samuel. So I think Kennard could play inside, yes, but I don't think he's an upgrade to Sean Ryan or Jordan Morgan at this point in time. Maybe a little bit of a better run blocker, but I think in general, he's not an upgrade there. Green Bay is fine, everyone. There's no reason to fire Coach Matt nor panic. I tend to agree with that overall. I don't think everything's fine at the moment. I think they're going to have to find some solutions, but we'll know more over the next few weeks here for sure. Let's see. If the Dolphins can beat the Bills, there's hope that the Packers. Yeah, to me, that there's hope for every team every given week right now. This is a wild NFL at the moment. All right, let's see if we can come back to that. I think we have a couple more super chats here. Remember, 27 Packers, 27 Eagles, 13. Travis, appreciate you doing it twice, and I really appreciate you for the super chat. And I hope that you're right, my friend. MAD does things. I think Matt LaFleur needs to realize it's Jimmy and Joe's, not X's and O's. I think I'm not sure what that second part is, Mad, but we are horrible at blocking. I also just think like you need to improve at blocking. You can't get through a playoff run with bad blocking. So they're going to have to improve. Today's a great day to show that and do that. But yes, I do think they need to be a little bit more cognizant of getting their best players on the field, attacking with their best players, and letting Jordan cook a little bit more. How do we get New Glarus to sponsor you? I don't know. You hit them up with an email, I guess. Give them the idea, give them a suggestion. But yeah, I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine, I guess, Turley. All right. Let's get to our sleeper picks for this game. Packers, Eagles, Monday Night Football. Going AJ Brown, more than 57.5 receiving yards. Josh Jacobs, anytime touchdown, more than 1/2 touchdown in this game. We get our free pick, Jordan Love, more than 1/2 passing yard. You know, I'm going to hit that up for sure. And then Jordan Love, fewer than 31.5 passing attempts. I'm going to expect Green Bay to try to get their running game heavily involved, and hopefully they can in this one. They're going to need to. Hopefully that ends up being the case. So AJ Brown, more than 57.5 receiving yards. Josh Jacobs, touchdown. Jordan Love, more than 1/2 yard passing. And Jordan Love, fewer than 31.5 passing attempts. Best part is you can get a free 100, or I should say 100% match up to $100 by utilizing code Packaday. Again, 100% match up to $100 utilizing code Packaday. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper for details. Available in over 25 states nationwide. So get those picks in for tonight's game on Monday Night Football. All right, we left off at 4:44. Got about 17 more minutes here. If you guys want to get questions in for sure, make sure to get those super chats in. I'll try to get to as many as I can here over the next 15 minutes or so. My account has never let me super chat, and it's the most frustrating thing. Alex, I don't know why that would be. I don't know. Google it, check the settings. I'm not sure why that would be. Maybe you don't have the funds or you don't have a card set up. I don't know what to tell you. National media and tush push narrative versus a good game is ridiculous. Yeah, I don't know. Either way, this should be a really fun game. Not going to lie, kind of nervous for tonight. The win is optimal, especially with the Detroit win. I'm right there with you, Mark. I'm right there with you. Green Bay shouldn't have been favored to begin with. Also, don't play Golden. Need him for the long run. Yeah, they certainly can't risk him getting re-injured. I'll be interested to see if he plays in this one or not. 8-1. If they aren't enough to win tonight, that misses the playoffs. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be that harsh of a fall, but they're going to have to do some catching up if they lose tonight. That's for sure. I feel like luck affects the fans' perception of the team so much. Like if we hit some field goals, we are undefeated. Yeah, I don't know if making field goals are not as luck though. You know, you had one blocked, and McManus has missed some very makeable kicks. You got to have a kicker that's capable of making kicks, and you can't allow blocks on big swing plays against the Browns. So I don't think that's all luck either, Adam. Makes Tuesdays difficult. Yes, I totally get that. Just found a $2 pair of Green Bay earrings for $3. Not too common in the Pacific Northwest. So an exciting find. Must be a sign. The line switch has me feeling better. Green Bay by 10. What's your bold prediction? I don't know if I have a bold prediction in this one. I just really want to see the sidelines fired up for Green Bay. Want to see that energy and intensity back. If they play like they did against Detroit, Green Bay has every right to win this game and can win this game even easily. If they aren't fired up and they, come out lethargic again like they have in recent games, it's probably going to be a long day for Green Bay. So don't know if I have a bold prediction in this one, but want to see this team come out with energy, and certainly think Green Bay is well within their right to win this game. With complications in the NFC and North, this game undoubtedly has a playoff-esque feel to it. Hoping Lambeau is alive and Loud need every advantage they can get. Right there with you, Alex. Only reason Ja isn't traveling is because they were worried about him declaring himself a captain. That's an interesting dynamic that's going on there with him for sure. All you people who call yourself fans and have zero faith in the team should just be Bears fans. I don't know that I need to go that far, Jen, but I do know, there's high hopes with this team, and with high expectations comes, just an expectation that the team is going to do better than what they've been doing so far. But I can see both sides of it. Got preseason pre-Micah odds 2.7 to 1. Packers win the division. I need this win tonight. Well, good luck with that, Randy. Definitely going to be a Coke pizza. Saquon is going to kill the pack as usual. Hopefully you're wrong. Reg ask. How would you stop the tush push? Obviously, most correct answers to not get in those situations, but what would you try if you needed to try and stop it? Yeah, I mean, Green Bay has done a decent job against it. I think, as decent as anyone's done in the league. I don't think it's something that you can just easily stop. I think you just have to get low. I think you also kind of want to do like a counter push on the other side with your linebackers, but you got to make sure you don't get outflanked as well if they do something to the outside. So there's no easy answer to it. If there was, every team would be doing it, but good leverage, good pad level, and, being up to the moment when you get put in those situations for sure. It'll be close tonight, I think, but we no longer have a home field advantage. They need that home field advantage tonight, Driving Crooner. Like the name in the picture, by the way. But they're going to need that home field advantage tonight. Packers fans need to show up for this one. Just want to say that love all your weekly convos with Mike Wall, Justice, Carmi, and Paul. And it's fun to hear from Paul and Ziggy. Roy, appreciate that a ton. Thanks for watching, my friend. Do you think the defense needs to be more aggressive and let the corners be on an island a bit more? I think they need to be aggressive to get those turnovers. The dink and dunk is giving me Joe Barry PTSD. Yeah, I don't know that I want to live with Nixon and Valentine in one-on-ones, especially against A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. I just think you need to be multiple. I think you need to show multiple looks and give multiple coverages. And when Valentine and Nixon are asked to hold up their end of the bargain in those one-on-ones, they need to come up with it and make plays. So I think you need to be a little bit more dynamic and, just adaptive to what what the offense is doing and make it so that you're not predictable. But those corners need to come up in those situations. Otherwise, it makes it really hard to continue to call the plays because receivers have been beat in a lot of those one-on-ones so far this year. Sorry, the corners have been beat in those one-on-ones. Who do you think is the most important players for this game for the Packers to win? The offensive line. I really, truly believe that. Devontae Wyatt on the defensive line, I think, is huge as well. But it's going to take everyone. As lame and as corny as it is, it's going to take everyone really doing their part. But I think the biggest is the Packers offensive line. Collectively, they have to be on their A game in this one. If they can protect Jordan and give Josh, some running lanes, Green Bay can win this game and can maybe even win this game easily. If they can't protect and can't run block, Philly's going to have a field day and they could win easily in this game. So to me, it's the offensive line for Green Bay. Let's see. Josh Jacobs, first touchdown scored tonight. Jordan, that'd be awesome. Would love that. Just win. That's all that matters. Isaiah, I'm right there with you. Pretty cool how the Packers wide receiver core is basically a track team that never gets utilized in a creative way. Yeah. Again, this is the difficult aspect of it. They called 3 back-to-back-to-back shot plays in a row last week. They had one down the field. I forget who the first one was too. It was Golden. That was incomplete. Was I think the second one. Oh, the first one was a check down to Jacobs, but they had a deep play called. Then the next one was a Golden incomplete. The next one was a deep ball to Christian Watson completed. And as Matt LaFleur has talked about, when teams are going to keep playing too high looks against Green Bay, you have to work your way to throwing the ball down the field. It's really difficult to do it when they're just lining 2 safeties super deep down the field. They're going to be double covering anybody that you throw to down the field. So you have to earn your right, jab, 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 then throw that deep bomb down the field and hope you can connect on it. So, it takes setting up. And also, you have to be able to pass block up front to be able to throw some of those plays down the field. And if you don't, that's going to be a problem. There were a couple plays that we talked, and Jordan's got to see it too. There's an opening play to Luke Musgrave that's wide open down the field. There's a touchdown pass to Romeo Doubs that's open down the field. And Jordan doesn't, see either of those, and it ends up not being anything. One's an incomplete pass, one's a 7-yard check down. One could have been probably a 50-yard pass, and the other could have been a 25-yard touchdown. It just takes everyone, and you've got to earn the right to take some of those shots down the field and to let those players be playmakers. Just understand every single defense in the NFL is doing everything they can to limit explosive plays. So you've got to earn your right to generate those explosive plays. And Green Bay's not done a good job of that lately. More north and south plays tonight, less behind the line of scrimmage. We'll see. Again, if you're running right into Jalen Carter and, why can't I ever remember his name this week? Pisses me off all week. Jordan Davis. Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis are right there waiting for you. So you'd love to get north and south, but you've got two massive defensive tackles who are really talented on a huge chunk of rundowns just sitting there, and pretty damn good linebacker core as well. I would love them to get north and south, but they're going to have to earn that too. Let's see. Instead of kneeling the ball at the end of the game, the Eagles are going to tush push and shove it down the Packers' throats. All right, whatever. Let's see. Took until year 4 to reach the Super Bowl with Reggie White. How quickly folks forget. Not a lot of patience in fandom anymore. That's for sure. Why don't we blitz Cooper more? It seems like they have dialed him back a little bit. Yeah, I'll start by saying I talked about it in my things that Green Bay needs to do better. I do think that Edgerrin Cooper needs to be weaponized a little bit more. I do think they got to figure out a way to get him going. That being said, we've seen there's a couple great examples of this. Green Bay brought a ton of pressure, including with Edgerrin Cooper from that linebacker position against Cincinnati. And Joe Burrow saw that Jamar Chase is one-on-one on the outside with Keyshawn Nixon. Nixon had great coverage. Chase made the catch anyway and goes in for a touchdown. You cannot get there quick enough to avoid a one-on-one where you can throw a potential jump ball. And Cooper got there quick, and that defense got there quick, and it's still a touchdown to Jamar Chase because of it. And then against Pittsburgh, Cooper comes right up the A-gap, untouched, nobody there. One of the fastest linebacker in football, coming untouched right up the A-gap. Rodgers sees that there's a wide receiver one-on-one on the outside, throws the jump ball to him. I think it was Keyshawn, doesn't get his head turned, runs into the receiver. Receiver's trying to come back to the ball. It's a huge pass interference penalty. You have to be, the other thing is you have to be in positions. You have to be in, like, you want 3rd and longs so that you can play off of those situations. And then you can bring that pressure on 3rd and long and give your defense a chance to get there and generate those explosive plays. If the team across from you is picking up, 7-8 yards and staying in 3rd and short situations, it's tougher to call those plays as well. So it's another one where you got to earn your right. You got to eat your vegetables on early downs to enjoy your desserts and to be able to blitz some of those players on late downs when it's 3rd and long. And more importantly, sometimes when you're blitzing extra players, including Edgerrin Cooper, it's one less player in coverage and you're going to allow a one-on-one somewhere. And can your defensive backs hold up against that? So far, that's been a bit of an issue, which is, I think, why we haven't seen as much blitzing from Edgerrin Cooper and some of the linebackers. Enjoy the journey indeed. It's Green Bay's game to lose tonight. Hope for a fantastic outcome for my birds. Well, Spirit, thank you for being a fair fan, and thanks for checking out the show. It's Green Bay's game to lose tonight. I think you're being complimentary there, or you're just confused at how that phrase works. But either way, appreciate you checking out the show. I would say good luck, but I don't really mean it. But I do appreciate you checking us out. Love the big picture look, Andy. Jose, always. Football is a 1-week life cycle. It does very much feel that way, Dennis. A lot of this is a lot of Packers fans that listen to the national media too much. The media is up and down on the Packers, so it makes sense from a lot of fans to be like that if they are listening to them. Maybe that's a piece of it. See this as a roster game. Which team has the better and deeper roster? Yeah, I wish Cleveland and Carolina were the better roster games. That didn't end up working out so hot. So I don't know. Even if Philly has the better roster, hopefully Green Bay can be the one that comes up with a win in this one. With the YouTube TV, Disney dispute, sick wife and 2 kids, looks like I'm locked out tonight. Any chance of a live stream throughout the game? Kidding mostly. No, I'll be at the game. Sorry about that, Dave. But Cheesehead TV will be live doing a live stream, so make sure to check that out. I'm on Green will be on there as well, so highly recommend that. Go Pack Go, Unleash Cooper. We saw how our roster managed against the team in the playoff game. Yeah, that's probably true as well. Dennis, thank you for the kind words. I want nothing to do with Jack Del Rio. That sounds absolutely terrible. Expecting a big Parsons and Jacobs game. Hopefully that's the case. Mike, I'm sorry. My apologies, but I'm here for another 4 minutes, and I'll be here for a live post-game show a little bit later as well. And you can go and rewatch also. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button if you have not already as well. 690 people here live, so thank you so much for that. I forgot to switch back my style here too. That's better. Totally forgot. Didn't even recognize it. Went right back to the comments. All right, I think we've got a couple more super chats, then I got to get out of here, guys. I believe the Packers will win tonight, if only because they don't have to play down to their opponent / the Browns and the Panthers. They've played well against good opponents. Now, sometimes that runs out too. Like good opponents are going to play you well at some point. That could be tonight. We'll see. But hopefully the Packers are up for this one. Golden is out for per Pelissero. That's not great, but not super unexpected. We kind of talked about that at the onset, that there was definitely that possibility. But not ideal, to say the least. All right. What's up, Andy? We are going to win this. Halfley the GOAT has a plan, and Love is going to shine. Jacobs too. Ian, hopefully that's the case. Should be a fun game. Should be a very fun and entertaining game. I hope you guys enjoy the hell out of it. I will be back tonight. How long I'm here for will depend on how they do, maybe. No, I'll try to be here as long as I can. It's going to be a very long night for me. So again, I won't probably have a ton of time. Again, we'll go to the game. We'll do the press conference. We'll drive home after that, probably fight through some traffic. I'm hoping sometime between 11:30 p.m. Central and midnight, I'll go live tonight. No, that's going to be past a lot of your bedtimes, but if you're up and hopefully you can't sleep because it was a Packers exciting win, and you want to check out that afterwards, I will be here, and then we'll kind of go from there. Tomorrow I will do a post-game wrap-up on both the audio and the video channel, and then tomorrow afternoon we'll break everything down with Paul Brettel as well, and then the next day will be the Paul Farrington show. And I think I have, just to check really quick, get the right calendar up here. Members only Q&A this week is on Wednesday at noon is the tentative plan for members Q&A. Happy hour will be a little bit earlier this week as well at 2 p.m. Central Time on Friday. Hopefully we've got a lot of great stuff to talk about. Again, enjoy the night, everyone. Enjoy this Packers game. Hopefully a Packers win. Get yourself a Luigi's Pizza for the game if you haven't already. I'll see you guys all very, very soon. But until next time, and as always, and especially tonight, go Pack Go.